One of the things that we talk about as human beings, I mentioned earlier, that at some point we begin to develop language, and our language is used for many different reasons, but one of the reasons that we use it is to help us make sense of what we sense. I like to say, in some respects, we would say this is an overly simplistic way of talking about how the mind operates. We would say we sense things, newborns, infants, toddlers are sensing things, and eventually we begin to make sense of what we sense. But strikingly enough, we humans don't do a very good job of making sense if we think that we're supposed to do it by ourselves. Newborns, infants, they don't come up with words by themselves. Parents give them words. We are collaborative storytellers. And whether you know it or not, everybody here in this room, the story that we think that we're telling, we think we might be telling it by ourselves. I guarantee you that you are not. Even if the people that are most important to you are not in the room or may even be dead, they're still in your head. And we are telling our stories with each other in mind from the time that we're young until the time that we're dead. The real question is, who are the people who are in my life who are helping me tell my story most truly? Mm-hmm. And by truly, I don't mean truly like just according to the facts. I'm Curt, who was born and raised in Ohio. I don't just mean I'm telling a story about the facts. I'm born and raised in Ohio, and I went to medical school here and to residency here, and these are just the facts of my life. We're also wanting to ask the question, and this is where the Christian story is meaningful for me. What does it mean for me to tell my story faithfully? By faithfully, I mean, who is going to help ask me questions that will help me tell the story? It's not just a matter of like, do I have all the information about me? I can tell you I do not. It's not until someone else is asking me questions, like your daughter is asking you questions, however that mysterious event is happening, somebody else is asking me questions about what is it that I want? What is it that I'm afraid of? What is it that I'm most ashamed of? What are the places in my own story that I don't even know that I don't know, but that I'm burning energy behaving in a certain way as a way to keep those parts of my story out of the room, because I'm afraid that when they show up, you'll see them and you will go. And when you leave, I will have this experience of my amygdala taking off, my brainstem starting to fire, because I will be afraid of what we would consider to be an existential departure, like I'm not worthy of your presence, you're leaving. And most of us in this room would have very little conviction that our presence in the room is necessary for the life and flourishing of other people. But this whole notion of how we tell stories begins with who are the people that are surrounding me, who are helping me develop a story in which what comes out of it is a life of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Those are words that St. Paul wrote, and he says, then there's no law against this. Like, how many people want to be with people who are loving and kind and joyful and so forth and so on? Who here doesn't want to be that kind of a person? But the real question is going to be, what are the things that we're doing, and who are the people that are helping me tell that kind of story together so that that's the kind of person that I can become? Most of what we would say, when we look at what walks into my office, and the entire panoply of diagnostic categories that walk into my office, in many respects, one of the things that they have in common is a degree to which they are living in a world in which they believe they are utterly alone. They're not, if you were to look at them, you wouldn't say they look like they're alone. In fact, most people, like if you're coming to the University of Michigan, like you got to be somebody to get here, which means you're working your tail off, which means people who look at you are thinking like, that cat, he's got it by the tail. Like he knows what he's doing. She knows what she's doing. Most people are not going to imagine that you're alone, but you do. And then the question becomes, who are the people who are in my life who are aware of that, to whom I can say that to so that I'm not as alone as I have been?